If you love Paul Harvey stories and the rest of the story, subscribe now. The rest of the story: last autumn I told you that residents of the neighborhood in which I live had been advised there would be no more doorstep deliveries of newspapers. Now somebody in a truck will toss the paper at the curbside. The explanation was that no youngsters wanted to work as newspaper delivery boys and girls anymore. And then I heard about John Miller of Omaha, a high school senior, newspaper carrier of the year. It was March 5 years ago when John Miller, then 13, decided it was time he had a job. Nothing special he wanted the money for, he just wanted to work. John's older brother Dan was already working as a newspaper delivery boy. Would Dan mind sharing his paper route? John asked matter-of-factly. The older brother was delivering 150 papers a day. He would appreciate some help. Now in Omaha, when a boy decides to become a paper carrier, the newspaper sends a counselor to talk with him. The counselor who visited John was tough but fair. Would John take his job seriously? Would he be conscientious? Would he be responsible? Would his job interfere with his schoolwork? After the interview was over, the counselor had to agree John Miller would make a fine newspaper delivery boy. And was he ever right? It took John about a week to learn the route from brother Dan. After that, he was on his own. Each day he'd come home from school, collect his newspapers, and start out. John did not own a bicycle, so he walked every foot of the way. Gave him a good opportunity to get to know his customers, he said. It took him about 45 minutes to complete his rounds, and when he was through, each newspaper had been carefully deposited at each front doorstep. After a few months, brother Dan quit for another job. John didn't have to take on the entire route after that, but he did, all 150 customers. John Miller had that route all through high school. It bought him a stereo. It brought him a trip to the National Boy Scout Jamboree in Virginia, among other things. And it brought him something he treasures more than any of the things his money could buy. It brought him a singular honor, a distinction as Newspaper Carrier of the Year. Now the Omaha World-Herald has about 4,000 paper carriers. 150 of them submitted essays in hopes of winning a scholarship offered by the newspaper, a head start on college expenses. And John Miller was one of those competing for the prize. And he won. His customers will tell you that it could not have happened to a nicer boy, because in all of the years he has had that paper route, not one complaint. Not one. I'm hearing more and more these days that youngsters don't want to work as newspaper delivery boys and delivery girls anymore. I'm hearing it takes too much time. I'm hearing the